aka Geeks.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Geeks of Thrones, our Game of Thrones after show over here on AKA Geeks. I'm Sean. With me, I have Lynn.
What's up, everybody?
And today we're going to be breaking down episode 3 of the final season of Game of Thrones. This one's titled The Long Night. It's directed by Miguel Sapochnik. He directed other episodes like Battle of the Bastards, Hard Helm, and essentially some of the better battle episodes of the series. So we go into this episode having high hopes, just to throw that out there. I want to. So I think Lynn and I have talked a little bit about this so far, but not too much. That I think Lynn has negative feelings about this episode. I think that there's some downers about this episode, and we'll get into some specifics. I'm gonna throw some major specifics out right now that I think that are just generalized specifics. One, whether it's how they recorded this episode, or it's the streaming service for HBO, it's crap, and you can't. A lot of people, and myself included, feel that something happened with. You can barely see this. You miss a lot of things.
All right. Now, to be fair,
Yes.
I did my research before this. I hated the way this was filmed, but from what the director actually stated that he wanted the natural light.
Yes.
Now, that's all fine and dandy, but high definition televisions cannot do natural light that good. And this goes back to, remember when we used to complain about The Walking Dead when we couldn't see anything because there were a lot of dark episodes all in a row?
That was what I was going to say, but even then, Walking Dead's gotten better because there's moments where it's nighttime.
Right,
because we're supposed to believe that it's nighttime, but they give us enough light to see.
Right, because there's enough sharpness in the blacks where you can actually distinguish outlines of individuals. This one using natural light, and that means the only natural light, because it was filmed at night, is the fires that are burning and the interior light inside the Winterfell buildings. That looked like a hot mess.
Yeah, it was very, very difficult to see a lot of things, and it definitely, like, I get what you're saying, and I get that what they want is you to feel very natural in this.
Yeah, they went for the realism, and I can respect that, but
but at the same time, it's detrimental to the overall episode.
It completely pulled you out. But on top of that, they also released a guide on how to make your TV able to, they want you to, what's the word I'm looking for? Stabilize the overall picture, so you can see it clearer. And somebody actually did a side-by-side comparison of the TV without fixing it, and then the one above him, he had all the fixings done so you can get the right settings for it, and 100 times different. Well,
that leads me to believe that they probably should have put out, like, for the hardcore people, the people
they should have done that ahead of time.
Yeah, that are looking at the Game of Thrones Twitter page and whatever. Those hardcore people, put something out so we can understand, like, hey, they're doing a night episode. There's going to be a lot of natural light, so hey, probably suggest up your settings on your TV to this, because that would have been better. And then also watching it, I watched it at the time you watched it, so it's 6:00 here. It's still light out, so that definitely affected it as well. But I ended up watching it a second time, and it was dark out, and still difficult to see what was going on. Sometimes it was okay, sometimes it was really bad.
Yeah, so when we have the living room TV, which is the 4K, the second 4K one, in dark mode, because that room at night is dark. The living room overall is dark even at the daytime, because there's not a lot of natural light going through it, because most of the light's coming from the back end of the house. So it's naturally a dark room, so we keep it on the dark setting. So we started the episode with Susan grading some homework for the kids, but she shut that light off as the moment it really got into the episode. And like you said, there was not much of a difference for us. And I'm like, what the hell's who am I looking at half the time? I'm like,
Exactly.
oh, yeah, I
So
did not appreciate the way this one was done.
I think that we could appreciate what they were going for. We understand what they were going for, but they could have done a
Yeah,
better job of notifying us, telling us how to change settings or improve. Because also there's like the digitizing. I was seeing that those effects of digitizing, and
yeah,
that's from like a satellite box to from HBO for their streaming, and that's their thing. I even went on. So Amazon Prime has 4K streaming,
yep,
and apparently, if you watch your HBO Go or Now or whatever through Amazon Prime, you can get the 4K upgraded visuals of HBO Go and Now. Versus
right,
watching through the HBO apps, it's basic standard HD. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
So you can get an up-res version of it. And I was doing that. I was going to try to do that, and Amazon requires you to get the HBO Go or Now through their website.
yeah, because
So
that's
it's
what
like
we did.
yeah, so I couldn't get it because I already have it, and then you get one. Yeah, so
Yeah,
I was so well on that one, but
yeah, but trust me, it did it did not help.
what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna watch it on our other TV that we just got. It's a new one, and it's a Samsung QLED
Right.
4K everything on it.
Now,
It's I'm
now to
gonna
be fair, Susan and I, after the episode went off the air, we went upstairs, and Susan wanted to rewatch because she started looking on Reddit about some of the stuff that they saw, and something they said made her want to watch the ending again because she wanted to catch it. And we'll get into that a little bit later on. But we watched it on our old. Now that TV's been with me since 2007, and it's a Sharp, and we saw clearer pictures because that one's set up to for the Roku and the game under game settings. So
yeah,
of course it was a little bit more vibrant, so you got a little bit more light out of it. And I'm
yeah.
like, man, we should have watched the whole thing from up here in bed.
Honestly, like, okay, so now we're talking about that. Like, we've talked about that. Like, I've watched the episode twice,
Yeah,
and to be honest with you, it doesn't seem like it's an hour and 22 minutes. It goes by pretty fast because it's pretty consistent action. There's a few spots in here where it slows down a little bit, but they're
yeah.
not. It's usually pretty frenetic pace. Um, so we can go dive right in now, and if you have more negatives or anything, we can go
I
into.
have more negatives, and
Okay.
it starts right at the beginning with
All right, well, hold on.
it's in the first part, I should say.
Okay, first off, we get off. We start the episode in it's last minute preparations. This is mainly focusing on Tyrion, looking at everybody doing something. Even Theon's doing something, pushing Bran in his freaking stroller.
Yeah,
And you got everybody doing something, and Tyrion's so pissed off because everybody's denied him access to this fight. So what does he do? He goes and grabs his wine and heads down to the crib. I love that he grabs his wine bottle though. He goes and grabs his wine. He has
his
on
satchel.
his satchel, yeah, his big old camelback of wine,
Yeah,
and heads down to the crib. Right after this, we have, like I said, we ended last episode with them setting up for preparations. Now this is continuation and going into it. John and Danny jump on their dragons and they head off to this like ridge overlooking the battlefield as well as Winterfell.
yeah.
Um, is this where you have your first negative?
Well, no, not when they
Oh, okay.
actually shortly after when they're flying around,
Okay.
and
So
we'll
let me
get to
let me
that.
keep going because there's nothing yet that we need to discuss yet.
No,
Okay.
no, no, no. Everything is on par what I would expect. You know, it's
Yes.
that slow build up, the tension,
Yeah.
which you automatically pick up within the first 10, 12 minutes of the episode.
Yeah.
So you get that. But
Yeah. So and then we go to the next. It continues to flow, and there's only very few hard cut scene ends in this show, this episode. A lot of
yeah,
stuff is just flowing from one thing to the next. Then we have Melisandre. She shows up finally, and she's walking, and Davos sees her, so he starts going from his position and going through the armaments, and they're saying open the doors. And I can't tell. Do you think he was gonna like execute her right then and
oh,
there?
remember, he despises this woman. So he
Yeah.
wanted to kill her. Yeah.
So she stops and says, "You no need to execute me. I'll be dead before the dawn." And
Yeah.
he says, "Okay, all right. Well, then I won't kill her then." But at that point, he seems like he wanted to. I thought, right?
Oh, yeah.
At this point, but I'm sorry. Before that point, He
I was
tells
ready to say.
he tells Jorah. She tells Jorah before she comes in the castle. She tells Jorah, "Do you speak their tongue? Tell
Yeah.
them to raise the sword." So he does. She goes and puts her hand on one and speaks in Valerian and does a spell to light all their swords on fire.
Now
Right?
Sean's referring to the Dothraki only. Yeah.
Yeah. As she's coming in, after she does that, as she's coming in, she sees Arya and gives her a look, and Arya gives her a look like, "Oh, this chick."
Yeah.
Yeah. So she continues going in and has that moment with Davos at that point. Now we go back and we hear like whooping and hollering, and apparently the Dothraki have decided. I don't know if it's per Jorah's command. They ride off and start going after with their flaming blades. And at this
As
time,
well as Ghost.
huh?
Ghost also takes off with them and Jorah.
It's right there next to Jorah for some reason.
Yep.
Stupid. He should
Could
have been.
not could not understand why that was.
He should have been in the
So,
crypt or something like anywhere like with Sam maybe.
which would have been more badass. Well, Sam was
Sam,
on the battlefield.
yeah, but at least with Sam,
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. But I think they did it for a reason, and I think that's the whole reason why they never showed. They
Ghost
they they
again.
slowed they slowed down on showing the direwolves previously because of cost budgets and handling the animals, right? So
Yeah.
here's a way to show that Ghost is fighting, but to also take him out of the episode, right? That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
So they start hooping, hollering. They start running off. Ghost goes off with them. After this, Ghost is not seen for the rest of the episode. We do see in the trailer for next week that Ghost is alive.
Yeah.
So just put that out there. So Ghost's alive. As I think this is actually a really cool scene right here. As they're coming up, you see all these lights just in the distance going away, and all of a sudden they get a close up of them riding, and then next thing you know, it's like the bottom half of a giant, and an I'm sorry, but an oh shit moment by one of the Dothraki, like, oh, what the hell's in front of me? And then
Yeah.
they go to the distant view, and slowly but surely, all the little flaming swords to
die
go
out.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, all of them are gonna die. They're all gonna die.
Yeah, the Dothraki were just cannon fodder for the Game of Thrones, man. Oh, let's just total genocide of an entire race right off the bat.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm sure there's still some Dothraki to the east.
Oh, there was no, because there was some running back.
No. I mean, I'm saying Dothraki, the eastern.
Yeah, but I
like,
mean,
part of the world, but they're not in the battle.
right.
So at this point, there's some retreat of horses with no riders. There's a couple Dothraki on the horse, and of course Jorah is like, oh gosh, I don't know what just happened. Jorah's riding back. Of course, Jorah has to survive this.
Yeah.
At this point, then the battle begins. Dany sees this and says, and she's like gonna walk off, and John tells her like, wait, the Night King is gonna come.
Yeah.
He's meeting later, but she goes, no, the dead are here now, and she just saw all of her Dothraki just eliminated, annihilated, and I don't think she can like watch her Unsullied do that, get annihilated either, right? So she takes off, and John takes off with her. And they go to this whole thing where they're now going to go attack the walkers on the ground, which is fine, but it's different from what the plan is. The plan was to draw the Night King out to go attack him 2-on-1 when he's, not at full, not when he's expecting it, right?
Right.
As this is happening, a huge winter cloud comes, right? Which we know is the trademark Night King thing,
and that
right?
just made the whole scene 100 times worse.
So this leads to, and I'm gonna just summarize this real quick. This leads to Jon and Dany flying their dragons and multiple cuts throughout the episode where they don't know what shit's going on, and they actually run into each other, fly into each other at once. And we're watching this happen, we know that they're still not like on the best terms because of the announcement of what their relationship status is.
Yep.
But this is like making also, in my opinion too, it's also making for a very dull picture. There is really good pictures during this stuff though when they go above the clouds and you have just some beautiful like
cloud shots with the moonlight going. Yes.
Like gorgeous like stuff. Like I'd put that as my background on my computer if I can get it. But throughout the rest of it, it's like very bad. I don't know, whatever it is. It's kind of like a plot point. like to make it difficult for John and Danny, but to make it more even. That's what they bring that in to do.
Yep.
But then it also makes it covers up things for us to see, which is not good for us. So that happens throughout the show. I won't touch on that part anymore.
Stop right there. Stop right there, because the whole dragon thing. This is where it starts with me. Okay. And there's a part in there at the beginning, before anything starts to get heated up, where after they bump into each other, John and Rhaegal are sitting on the wall on one of the Winterfell towers.
Godswood is at.
Yeah, looking over Bran and everybody else. Okay, so at this point you have multiple dead coming their way. All right, from where he's positioned, and when a certain gentleman is waving like this to light the fires, wouldn't it take John a quick second to just turn his little happy ass around and be like, oh, look, that's the signal. We're supposed to light the trenches.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh. So for every moment that they showed John on this wall, I'm like, why is this son of a bitch just sitting there? He's just sitting there doing nothing. Like, so Danny's flying, trying to look for
and Danny, every now and then Danny would come low enough to shoot fire on them, on the walkers. I'm just gonna call them walkers, the White Walkers. Well, it's like John was trying to stick to the plan. You could tell still.
Yeah.
As much as he's flying around, he's still trying to stick to the plan.
But nonetheless, he didn't have to move Rhaegal at all. All he had to do was flip Rhaegal around on the wall and aim towards the trench. That's all he had to do.
On top of that, these dragons move fast. They can move fast.
Exactly. He could have floated right above that perch where he was at and ignited the trench.
I get what you're saying there, but there's a bigger negative, I think, in this episode that comes on later on.
Oh, I know.
All right, so at this time, Arya and Sansa start seeing the damage that's happening from these White Walkers. So Arya turns to Sansa and tells her, "You need to get to the crypt now. Here, take this." Gives her a dragon class dagger, and she goes, "I don't know how to use this." She goes, and I love the line, "Put the pointy end in them," or whatever. Get them with the pointy end, or whatever she says. Yeah. And I was like, isn't that like, I want to say, isn't that a line from the first season, like episode 1 or 2? Doesn't John?
When John is teaching her how to sword fight.
Yeah, with needle. Or, something like that. And I'm like, oh, that's a good line right there. I like that she used it. So she goes to the crypts, Sansa does. And Arya stays there on the wall. At this point, there's more battle out in the field, and we go to Samwell, and Samwell's getting overwhelmed. He shouldn't even be out there. He's giving up his sword.
He's shitting in his pants.
Yeah, he's crying like a baby while he's fighting. And the thing about this is, like, I kind of thought Samwell before this was coming into his own. And he's like, it's almost like he's reverting a little bit. Because he's killed them, and he even argued last episode, like, hey, you forget that I was the first one to kill a White Walker. And now it's almost like, oh, you're crying like a baby, dude. Not to say that I would not be, like, shitting my pants, too. I'd be scared as well. But I'm saying, like, his character's making definite progress. And they kind of pull it back. He's getting overwhelmed. He's about to get killed. And heck, during these initial parts of the battle, I thought Brienne was dead already.
I thought everybody was dead by the way they made, because you couldn't tell anybody.
The way that Brienne was screaming a couple times, I'm like, did she just take a knife in the gut? Like, like a painful scream.
There are times I thought she took a bite, like, because some of the walkers were just, like, diving at them, tear them off. Yeah. So I thought she was being bitten, and
to me, that's a directing thing, right? The director should tell the actor, like, change your scream to more of a brutal war cry instead of a guttural pain scream, Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, I totally was like, all right, are they dying? Or are they?
But to be fair, she was not the only one who I felt this way.
No, and that was multiple people. That's why I'm saying
this.
There was like 3 or 4 people that were screaming in ways that sounded like pain versus like war cry. And I was like, and there's a definite difference. I know that sounds stupid, but there's a definite difference between the two. So at this time, Dolores Ed, we have our first moment of a named character who's going to die. He saves Samwell, and this just proves that you never save people that are weaker than you. What happens? You save the weaker person, and you die. Ed gets stabbed, and he's dead, and then Sam runs off. He just runs off. I was like, gosh, really?
Yeah.
So it's sad, but they gave him this moment to save Sam. He dies. Um, After this, the dragons fly into each other, and then we get the light the trenches moment, where you say that like John could have turned and shot, because I'm sure there was a trench right outside the wall right there.
It
He could
ran
have,
along. It ran along the
because
freaking outer wall.
around all of Winterfell.
Yes.
So it doesn't work. So at this time, they're retreating as well. So Beric, Dondarrion, the Hound, Tormund, and Jorah are all like defending the gate with Unsullied that come out in a square.
Right.
And Melisandre just lethargically like walks out very slowly and starts praying to the fire of light to light it on fire. And she starts getting scared, and her concentration starts getting thrown off, but she ends up getting it right before a walker gets to her.
Well, I think that scene, I think it was her realizing that her powers were fading to the point of nothingness.
That was the other thing I was thinking too.
Yeah, because because and her fear was more along like, oh shoot, I'm gonna let these people down. That's the way I looked at it.
Yes.
Because she didn't look like she was just afraid of what was coming at her. She was just afraid of not being able to complete what she was out there for.
Yeah, exactly. I got that too. There was multiple things like realizing during this whole thing as well. Right before that happens, you have a moment with Grey Worm where they've already started retreating, but some of his arms, his men are out there, and it was kind of one of those moments where you see it in his eyes, like realize like I have to pull this bridge now, and my men are gonna die, but if I don't, everybody will die. And you see this, he has that moment like of hurt and like, but I got to do what's best for everybody, and so he does it. So he has a moment too. It's like there's like some good character moments in here. I'm not gonna lie. There's some good character moments.
I didn't come from Jon or Daenerys, that's for sure.
So she lights the trenches, and that's all good. She retreats, and then at this point we go back to the crypt. Tyrion is doing this whole thing where he's like just questioning the whole reason for him being down there, and also he's drinking, so that adds to it. And he's like, "Why am I down here? With the Battle of the Blackwater, I was able to figure things out and help. I was able to help. I could have seen something that they might not."
And he says he says something in there that had me thinking.
Okay.
And he was like, "What are they missing?" And I'm right there. I'm like, I wonder what would have happened. If he would have been out there, he would have been able to see something that could have given them that extra edge that could have saved people. And I think that's going to come back later on when they get finally down south, because I think he's going to be able to show up and be like, you know what? They didn't let me do it here, but I'm going to do it here. This is what we need to do. And it's going to show everybody that he should have been, listened to from the beginning.
Yes, down there with the rest of them. Yeah. So at this point, that all is going through conversation-wise. At this moment, there's also a little moment with Sansa, and she says that he was the best husband that she's had out of the three husbands that she's had, or was it three? I don't remember. Yeah. And he goes, "Oh, thanks. That's like a big compliment, pretty much." Which I like that little back and forth.
Yeah, her cousin of the Vale.
Yeah. Well, she was betrothed to the cousin. She was married to Ramsay and married to him. Yeah.
Wait, we forgot somebody. Joffrey.
Betrothed to Joffrey.
Betrothed to Joffrey as well.
Cousin from the Vale. She married Ramsay and married Tyrion. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I don't know. Her cousin's a weirdo, but not like, didn't beat her or rape Ramsay.
He's still a little fucked in the head.
Yeah, there's a little thing where she says it wouldn't have worked out anyway because of the Dragon Queen. It would have split her ties, and
she picked the worst fucking time to say that line.
Yeah,
you have Daenerys' most loyal person with her in the crypt, and you're gonna start. And I'm not talking about Tyrion, but you're gonna start lambasting her. Yeah, but you're gonna start lambasting her in front of her.
Dead ready. Are you talking about what they said or what Sansa said?
What Sansa was saying about her.
Yeah, he said we wouldn't be able to be together because you're the queen's hand and the Dragon Queen's hand, and your ties would be split. And then Missandei says, "Well, without her, we'd be dead. So yeah,
Yeah.
and then walks off. Yeah, it's not a time to be talking about this. Whether or not you're like saying too many bad things or whatever level, even questioning something at this point, like it can come back and bite you in the ass, right? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah. Well, you guys were up there fighting. She was saying this, you know. Okay, so we keep going back to the Godswood. Now we have Theon in there with the rest of his Iron Men. Um, Theon acknowledges that they've lit the trench, and he starts to apologize to Bran. And Bran stops him. He goes, "Everything I've did." He said, Bran stops him and does the same thing that he told Jaime as well. Everything you've done has made you the person you are and brought you here today.
Yeah.
So it's okay. We're all good, homie. And that's it. At this point, he goes, "I'm gonna go." And this is the part that's stupid as well. And then he wargs into the Ravens. The Ravens fly upwards, and I think this is just a plot device to show us where the Night King actually is, but it's still
Yeah.
stupid. And
Yes, it was like
it's stupid. It's just there to show us where the Night King is, but it's just stupid overall. Because what the hell was he doing the whole time? Is he
yeah.
taking a collective history of what the fight's going on? I don't know. They fly up and they see the Night King's literally above the Godswood. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, you didn't like this part or
Oh
what?
no, I'm like, dude, if you're gonna work into anything, it's gonna be a bunch of little ravens to. Sorry, that's Susan talking to the pets, I think. Um,
Why warg into the Ravens?
yeah, exactly. Like, really, why not warg into a direwolf that's somewhere out in the battlefield that you can figure out what the hell's going on? And yeah, like you said, it was just to move the plot along to find out where the White King was, but it was completely a waste of time because he was gone for quite a bit of it.
Yeah, he's gone for the rest of it pretty much.
Yeah, almost
When we
almost to the
see
end.
this, the camera peels off of the Ravens, goes to the Night King, and Night King sticks out his hand to control the White Walkers, and they then start laying their bodies down over the fire to create a White Walker
Barrier.
bridge,
It's a barrier.
bridges around the Winterfell. And I'm like, really smart. That's like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, and the thing is though, they're all dead, and he has numerous like his
But I
always
had
got
I had a problem with that too,
yeah.
because all right, we're talking about The Walking Dead, right? They're all dead and they're reanimated corpse, different stages of decomposition.
So
Some
some might be
freshly,
bones, and they might
right?
just fall
Some
through.
freshly. A lot of them, yeah, because some of the special effects when we were able to see them were like partial skeletons. As soon as they touched the flames, they should have been engulfed.
Yeah.
Bodies should have been engulfed, no matter what. So a lot more bodies to fight off the flames.
Yeah, no, I get
You
you. You'd have to
know?
do a lot at the same time. But I think the
Right.
idea of it is a good idea to break the trench.
No, the
But
idea was awesome, but it was the execution that was done improperly.
yeah, so after that, John sees this and sees that the Night King's up there doing this. He flies after the Night King. At this point, they use the bridges, the White Walkers, to now start World War Z, the actual Winterfell.
I thought the same thing. I'm like, oh my
I was like,
god.
oh, that's cool. Yeah, I guess that's how they would do it, right? But here's the
No,
part, like, while they're climbing this freaking the walls, they have these tree trunks with freaking dragon glass jammed into it, and at
yeah.
numerous times you see them climbing over these tree trunks, and none of them are getting killed.
None of them are getting scraped against the dragon glass.
Yeah, so they just like their shirt protected them. So I thought that was like what? And then at the other time I was like, all right, they're gonna drop those logs now, right? They didn't drop the logs. I'm like, what the heck? Like, are they gonna
Yeah.
use any weaponry to like save them?
And not only that, the cross beams, the fencing
guards?
that they did, yeah, the actual guards when the
They
Unsullied were going through that at the front because those were at the front and they were also in the middle on the other side of the gate as well. When all of them were rushing past after they got through the flames and they were rushing through, none of them got poked. You saw
no,
more
some of them
human.
did. So the
No,
ones
those
that
were
did,
more those were more Winterfell soldiers and other
no,
characters
the,
that got.
some of the White Walkers, the crosses, like the freaking jacks things that they
Yeah.
have. Yeah, some of the White Walkers
You
hit it,
saw
and
no, you saw like there was the giant swooped a few of the normal guards from the living
no.
side
Yeah,
into
but
them.
before that, some of the White Walkers actually touched it, and because they're just running after it, not thinking anything, and a couple of them did hit it and break, and then the giant came through and broke those armaments or whatever they're calling them. But it wasn't a lot. You'd figure there'd be more though, because they're
There was
brainless
more,
things.
but like I was saying, it was more noticeable that the living were being tossed into the spikes than
So
the.
I don't know if there was any, but yeah. At this point, the walls are breached. They've gotten over the walls, and now the fight is inside on the walls. And you start seeing Arya using her staff that has two pointy ends. And one looked like a blade, one looked like a dagger. And she breaks it apart a couple times, starts using it, freaking kicking ass, spinning it around, doing all her thing. Arya's fighting them off, and then she has some tumbles and trying to escape them because like holy cow, these are a different thing than what I've ever fought before.
Yeah.
She loses her weapon and she's trying to escape but still hold her ground. And the Hound is over there cowering, and Beric Dondarrion's seeing him like, "What are you doing, man? We need you, Clegane." At this point, he's like, "We're fighting the dead. We're not gonna win." He's like, "Well, tell that to her," because she's over there still fighting. And he's like, "Oh shit, I need to go save her." Uh, so at this point, he
That's
runs off.
another stupid moment, by the way.
Which
To
part?
have the Hound cower in a corner like a sobbing baby.
He's done this numerous times now, though.
But so I mean,
normal.
Yeah, but when he stopped fighting, when the first major time was when he just like gave up fighting and he was trying to live at peace with himself.
No, he did it in Battle of Blackwater too. He got tired of it and started drinking. Yeah.
Well, but he started drinking. And he was just tired of. He didn't want to fight anymore.
He didn't want to fight anymore, so he stopped.
Never to the point that he looked like a cowering little baby.
That time he didn't want to fight anymore. This time it seemed because he was also afraid as well. Yeah. Because he's like, "This is the dead. We're not going to win."
Yeah, and he just didn't want to be made to look like a fool, knowing that a little girl is outdoing him.
Yeah, but I also think it was because of Sansa, and Sansa, because Arya was also on the run, so he wants to save her because he has a little soft spot for her. At this point, little Lyanna Mormont's inside, and the giant breaks through, and he does a little Hulk to Scarlet, the Black Widow to her in the first Avengers, and she was flying, and he starts hitting all the other people, and then there's a moment where she's right there, and she does her little war cry. She goes after it, goes up to him, he grabs her, and you can hear her bones crunching, and he's about to bite her and eat her, and then she freaking stabs him right in the eye with the dragon glass. And
that was the only beautiful death.
Oh, there's another beautiful death. There's another beautiful death.
No, I mean,
there's another one.
To be fair, because the reason why is because I did not want her to die. I thought she was going to make it through, but the fact is, she wasn't squeamish. She went right for it, and it was all full on gutso, which is exactly what her character was.
The girl, the actress said, I got to let out my mini warrior cry because she's like the same height she was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But she got a good death, a really good fan service death, and she's gonna die. At least she got a nice cool death, right? So that's that. Then Arya, they go back to her. She's sneaking and running through the castle. I don't know if this is the part where she gets to the. She's sneaking and running through the castle, and this is the part where she actually goes to the library, and she does the whole Jurassic Park thing from the end of the bookshelves, and I was like, "Oh, Jurassic Park!" Cool. Steven Spielberg made his way up into this bitch. But this is really cool though, because like you get to see her moving, and they have obviously they turn down the sound on all of her movements, so it literally
she's completely
sounds
silent.
like she's like she has no sound in her movements.
She's
like
full on ninja.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's actually pretty cool. I was like, that's really cool. We can see her sliding and no sound, and she's like doing her thing, and she gets out of the room, and then they bust through another door and start chasing her. And right then, at that same time, that's when she runs into Beric and the Hound. But also at the same time in the crypt, they hear rumblings from above, and people are getting scared. And that's all for that part. But she runs into the Beric and the Hound, and they're looking for her. At this point, they're catching up to them, and something happens where I liked this death as well. This reminded me of Lord of the Rings, of Sean Bean's character in Lord of the Rings, when he saves the hobbits. Beric is over there taking stabs left and right to make sure they slow down so that Arya can get out. And we discover that when they do get out and they get into the hall and Beric gets through, Beric dies. but the Hound and Arya are there, and they see Melisandre, and Melisandre says he didn't die for anything. He completed his goal. It was his one mission. Yeah, his purpose. He completed his purpose, which was to save you. And this is the part where at the beginning of the show, like I was like, Arya can kill him. John's probably gonna kill him. And yeah, you know, the whole thing of who's gonna kill who, of the Night King and whatnot. At this part, Melisandre gives her a pep talk and says the whole brown eyes, green eyes, and blue eyes. And right there, I was like, oh damn, Arya's gonna kill him. And
yeah,
so,
which goes back to season 3 when she's had that conversation with her.
yes, when she bought Gendry. And so at this point, I'm like going through my head, I'm like, oh, dude, she's gonna. And then she runs off, and Callan's like, what just happened right now? Where's she running to? And right then when that happened, I was like, oh, she's gonna go climb that tree, and she's gonna like freaking like ninja drop from the tree and stab him and all this and that. I was like, oh, she's gonna do it. So that's right there. That's where I thought was gonna happen. I was like, all right, I think she's gonna do it. All right, so now we go to the Godswood. There's fights going on Godswood. Theon and his men are shooting arrows left and right. His men are going down. He's out of arrows. He finally gets this like spear, starts killing them and everything. He's doing a great job. They show the dragon, the Night King's on, blast a hole through the wall, so more people can come in. At this point, there's a dragon fight up north. Right after that, right up above, there's a dragon fight between Dany and Jon and the Night King, and I really like the dragon fight. I
wish I could have seen more of it.
I get that it was in that, and you can see, but like seeing them clawing at each other and stuff like that, that's the first time we've seen that in like this series, and I was like, that's really freaking cool. And so I was definitely, maybe we'll see it again in the future episode, huh, Lynn?
I don't know. I don't think so.
So it was really cool. I actually liked it. I wish we could have seen more and been more like clearer, but it happened. At this point, Dany actually knocks the Night King off, and he does his Hans Gruber back off.
Well, before that, Rhaegal was hurt so bad that he had to drop.
Yeah, he has to drop.
Jon got off of him.
Yeah, he crash lands. Jon is on the side. Rhaegal goes over there off screen. You don't see
Never
Rhaegal
seen again.
The rest of the thing. I'm assuming he's pulling a Ghost right now, just like Ghost.
Definitely pulling a Ghost.
Yeah, saving some money. And the Night King does his Hans Gruber. So Daenerys comes around, sees that he's right there on the ground, and she Dracarys his ass, and it doesn't affect him. And so this leads me to believe that. Go ahead.
Go ahead, say it. I want to hear you say it.
I think, and I've heard this from other people, is that he's a Targaryen.
You heard it from me. I said it the last few weeks.
No, but I also heard it from somebody else before you, though.
Dude, I've been saying it from the get-go, because when we had the conversation, because you originally thought that he was the original relative of the Stark, the first Stark.
Well, I've also said maybe he's Bran. So.
Yeah, and there's been, and I said the two reasons he's not a Stark or any incarnation of that is because only Targaryens can ride dragons, and until we see a firewalk, which is what this was. This was like the seal the deal. Like, yep, you can't touch me with fire because I'm you.
Yeah, so I hope that at some point we find out more about the lineage of the Night King. I would love that. And maybe in the books we'll find that out. But I wish there was. Hopefully there's something. I hope there is. So it doesn't work on the Night King. So at this point, Jon sees this and he's like, okay, now I got to go get the Night King. So the Night King then realizes, like, oh, this bastard's running after me. All right, let's do this. And he starts raising the freaking dead, and you see Jon's like, oh, I better run faster. And then he keeps on running into this impossible situation of these White Walkers just surrounded him.
Completely encircled.
Yes, and so the White Night King's, all right, bitch, peace. He goes out to go after Brad, and now Jon is stuck there fighting off the dead. And when this also happens, the crypts come to life as well. Now the people down in the crypts are trying to survive the dead down there as well.
Well, can you really? They weren't really trying to survive. They were just being mauled.
Screaming, getting killed.
Yeah, they were just being mauled.
Yeah. So at this point, Dany comes and saves Jon, and Jon's doing an all right job of surviving, but he's overwhelmed. So Dany comes to those flames, and at this point, it distracts the other White Walkers, and they go to climb on Drogon because she lands, of course.
You know what's funny is that when she hit that fireball to kill out all the White Walkers, I really, and this would have clinched it for her if by accident
Could
she
have
would have
got
hit
him.
right
John
on
is
top of John, and John's walking around unfazed, like
yeah.
just bare chested and what have you, and like da da,
Kick
because that would
out.
have shut her down right there. Because that's all she needs to prove. Oh well, like, he is one of us.
So my thing was danger close. That's what I was thinking. That's danger close.
Yeah, because she did not bother.
Whoa. I was
A little
right.
too close for comfort.
Yeah. So when this happens, Drogon's like, "What the heck?" Trying to get these little fleas off him. She falls off, and now she's there. But John has already started going back inside the castle to go for Bran, and he goes, "Bran," and she goes, "Go!" And so at this point, he's running off, and Danny's now on the ground, and we're like, "Oh shoot, is John gonna come back to save her?" No, it's not John. It's Jorah. Somehow Jorah knew that he had to go back out there to save his queen. So Jorah's there now protecting Dany. And for the rest of the episode, he's protecting her, getting slashed here, stabbed here.
Oh, I got a problem with that too, because there's one section.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
John tries to get to Bran. At this point in the show, there's a lot of cuts, back and forth. I do like the music that they start playing, the background music. When they start getting closer and closer to the end, it starts getting better and better, and it really starts to muffle the outside sounds, and you start to just hear this nice soft sound of music that's just kind of like almost a sad but desperate kind of thing. And I actually really liked it. I thought it worked really well. It's cutting back and forth. You have all these main characters. They're letting out these guttural screams, and you're like, is he dead? Is he dead? Is she dead? You don't know who's dead. And it keeps happening over and over again. And to me, this is a negative. They did not use these characters to the best of their ability.
No, this is where the Battle of Winterfell really was a disappointment. Yes. Because of them not giving their own, like, section where they could actually be seen.
No hero moments.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So the camera also cuts to the crypt where Sansa and Tyrion are hiding behind a thing, and they're holding hands. She pulls out the dagger, and literally for a second there, I was like, "Oh shoot, they're gonna do a suicide pact right here, dude."
No.
But they don't do a suicide pact. Here, Tyrion's holding her hand. He kisses it. They both decide that they're gonna go out there in the crypt and try to help, do whatever they can. Yeah. So they start walking out. They come across Varys and some other people hiding, but they're going to go out there and try to help in the crypt somehow. Theon, like I said, is fighting off walkers with a staff as well. And Jon is stuck because he can't get past the Night King's dragon. Right? And this is where I thought the Night King's dragon was going to flame him and he was going to survive.
Well, it's a different flame, so he wouldn't survive it. That's all ice. That gets that Viserion shoots out. It's so not. Yeah. So, but the fact is, the poor thing has half its face ripped off because that's where Drogon had taken the chunk out, and it's not only is it trying to build its flame, but it's actually popping flames off the side of its face because of the gaping hole he has. And I thought the same thing too. That okay, Jon's too busy, and for a minute it looked like he was just playing dancey dance with him, like he was hiding from one rock, start running. It's like, hey, look at me, hide behind another rock. I'm like, dude, that's not, I get it. You're trying to get into there, but you're just going around in a half circle with him.
I thought at one point, the last time where he ran out, I thought I was like, he's just going to try to stab that thing and kill it with his Valyrian still. That's what I thought he was going to do, and like he didn't. But I thought that's what he was going to do. At this point, the Night King arrives in the Godswood. Theon and Bran have a moment. Bran comes back from the Ravens after wasting the whole episode, and he tells Theon that he's a good man. You are a good man, Theon. So Theon takes that.
Thank you.
Yeah, he says thank you, and he's crying a little bit. He takes his spear and starts running at the. I was like, you're yelling and running at the guy, and he just does this like freaking Master Splinter thing.
Yeah, and he sidestepped him.
Yeah, he sidesteps it, hits it, breaks it, grabs it, and stabs Theon right through the gut. And some people go like, oh, maybe he's not alive. They didn't show him dead. They showed him bleeding internally because it was coming out of his mouth. That dude's dead. Theon's dead.
Yeah, they show him coughing a little bit, and when he cuts to him laying on the ground with the other half of the spear sticking out of him.
Yeah,
but,
and it's his mouth. So at that point,
yeah.
he die.
I don't know. I'm going to hold off until they start burying their dead or burning their dead, whatever they decide to do. Because now they shouldn't have to burn their dead.
But he gets a moment, though. The Night King gets down at him. And I don't know if he's waiting for him to die or just to say, like, at least you had some balls, you know?
Yeah.
Right? Well, even though he didn't have balls. That was not meant. I didn't mean that when I thought of it. But he steps over him and he starts going to Bran. At this point, also to show Jon confronting the dragon, he just stands up, and this is where I thought he was gonna like either he's just gonna wait for the dragon to come down and stab him, or he's gonna try to take the flame, or he's just giving up, you know?
Yeah.
And so that happens as well. And as this is all happening, you see a little wind go past one of the Whites' hair.
One of the generals.
Yeah, the general's the Whites. He motions his eye like, what? And before you know it, you see Arya as the White Night King's reaching for his sword. Arya comes out of nowhere flying at him. Was she yelling? I mean, like her mouth was open. Like
her mouth was like she's like.
Okay.
Yeah. So
they muffled all the sounds. Remember, except for Jon,
yeah.
They let Jon yell, but they muffled a lot of the sounds in this moment.
Yeah.
I was like, freaking knew it. And then he turns around, and freaking catches her midair. But then she does the thing that she did when she was sparring with Brienne. Remember, where she drops.
Switched his hands.
Yes. And I was like, she freaking stabs him and kills him. And I was like, Arya, yeah!
That was the only moment that I think I only reacted to in a positive light. Like, really, like, and we'll get to this later, but this was my end game. Like, when she did that. Because for me, it came out of left field, you know, because, like, oh, man, that's awesome.
I was like, Arya, yeah. And my girlfriend's right there, probably like, freaking nerd. And so this happens, and then there's a chain reaction of all of them. And right as the Viserion is about to get freaking Jon, it dies. Head falls off and collapses and whatnot. And all the other ones die at the same time, right outside where Dany and Jorah are fighting. And Dany's actually swinging a sword, which is the first time I think that we've ever seen her swing a sword. So,
all right, now going back to Dany and Jorah.
This is where we're going. So all of them go around him, and that's when he realizes that he can let go now because he's fighting for the woman he loves. He's
prior to that, as there's a scene in there where they're fighting. Well, I shouldn't say there because Dany technically isn't swinging her sword to save her fucking life. She's just holding it there. Yeah. But there's a scene where she grabs him, spins him around right into a gut shot.
No, she didn't do that.
Yes, no, I've watched that scene twice. I've watched that scene twice. She literally spun him around, and he took that gut shot in the side there. And I'm like, you stupid witch! I'm like, how could you?
Because I've already watched it twice as
well. Watch it, and I can guarantee you can see her. You can see her spin him around. It's not his arm; it's her. She's pulling him right into it. So because she's behind him, way off, and she spins him around.
So he ends up dying there. she's crying, holding him, and you don't have a heart, so you didn't like this one. I thought his.
No. I appreciated his death.
You didn't care about any other deaths.
No, I thought that Lady Mormont's death was a little bit more beautiful than this death.
I like
this is the death I expected for him. You know, trying to beat off the odds. So I expected him to succumb.
Yeah.
So this to me was a given.
At the end of this, it makes me sad because the Mormont family, as we know it, as far as we know, is gone now. So that's sad to me. I mean, it was sad for Jorah but it was also a fitting end to Jorah, like you said. It was a fitting end. He did what he needed to do. So at this point now, we know that everybody's dead. All the walkers are dead. They kind of show everybody again. They keep on doing this cut thing, showing them die around the people. Melisandre knows that she's done her duty. She walks out of Winterfell. Davos is watching her. She takes off her necklace, puts it down on the ground, and as she's walking out, she starts to rapidly age. And as the sun is coming up, as dawn is happening, she collapses and dies.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and that's how they end the episode with her body there on the snow. All right, so this is the list of the dead. Dolores Ed, Liana and Jorah Mormont, Beric Dondarrion, Theon Greyjoy, and Melisandre. You said you really liked I think the two Mormont deaths were the
key. Yeah.
Were two key deaths here.
Yeah.
You know, Ed had his moment, but it was short lived because it was right at the beginning. Beric had a good little Boromir moment, and Theon had his redemption, and Miss Melisandre did what she said she was going to do. But Lyanna and Jorah, those two deaths were definitely the ones that mattered the most here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, any other points that you want to throw out here? Because now that we've broken down everything now.
I just wish it didn't end with Melisandre at the end, because it's like very, really? We couldn't get a shot like of it would have been better a parting shot of Winterfell in all its ruin from the opposite side of the sun, so we could see it lit and see, what was left of it, because that would have been a more impactful shot to see how impactful the battle at Winterfell was, instead of just a lonely old woman who just
who did a little bit but did not do enough to say like she was a key player.
Yeah. It would have been more. They should have just kept it on the Winterfell side of things, and it would have been more impactful for me. I thought that last
stuff like that.
Yeah, just seeing the overall chaos that had been caused, because that would, even people coming out of the crypt, starting to come, that would have been in daylight. That would have been better than her just like at the end dropping.
As much as there are issues with this episode, I do feel that I did like the episode.
Yeah.
Because like I said,
I did like that, like I said last week, that it was just one straight episode, Battle of the White King, got it out of the way. Now we can focus the last two episodes.
Three episodes.
Well, that was episode 3, yeah. So the last 3 episodes, I don't know how they're going to stretch this. I really don't. So unless they go to, well, no. I expect them to, because they have to go to their backup place. And they have to show that battle as well, because she's supposed to take back the Grey.
Yeah, they both can go to the Iron Islands. They can.
Yeah. I expect them to.
Yeah. Something's got to happen with Yara the last 3 episodes. That might be it. From here on out, we do see in the trailer reveal for next week that Ghost survived, and both dragons are alive. So there's that. We haven't seen Brom yet. He hasn't gotten to Winterfell yet. But as we know, it takes a month to get from King's Landing to Winterfell if you're the king. Robert Baratheon says it takes a month.
Yeah.
If you're by yourself, Bronn probably gets there in a couple weeks. Yeah. So he's missed this whole thing. So we got to see Bronn, and then we got also the whole conversations of what's going to happen from here on out. Dany's saying, now we got to win the last war, and Cersei's like preparing for everything, and so some people are disappointed that more deaths didn't happen of key players, and I'm kind of at the point where there was enough death and damage that they are so short-handed, it doesn't matter how many key players you have.
Right.
They have their forces at Winterfell, the North, their forces are so dwindled right now. They need those dragons to be the max health to have a chance, I think.
Yeah, but how do you? Some of them, poor Drago, man. Before Drogon took that bite off of Viserion, he was a little bit worse for wear.
Yeah.
So we got to see what the extent of those injuries were, and how do you heal a dragon that quickly?
They're gonna have to eat 20 goats and 20 or whatever. But I'm now happy we can get back to. I'm okay with it ending now with the Night King, that part of the story. I want to now see who wins the game.
Here's the thing that bothers me, and it's a twofold. Like I said, I'm glad they got rid of the whole Night King thing in one solid episode. The length that it was, that I felt that it was deserving. But at the same time, for the last 4.5 seasons, it's all about winter's coming, winter's coming, winter's coming, winter's here. Oh, look, it's a short winter. Night King's gone.
But we've also seen other battles with the Night King's men as well in other sections.
Right.
So.
Right. But it's like the whole build-up was around the White Walkers, bleeding from the north down.
Yeah.
And I
It's
sort of was hoping that the battle would force them to retreat and have to approach King's Landing with the White King still coming. I'll leave it as it is. Like I said, one solid, quick episode. But I just wish for some reason Winter would have been like more impactful because it's sort of like anticlimactic when you hear the
that's
phrase
the
now.
thing about it. It's like because it's not the series finale. I kind
Yeah,
of think no matter what would have happened, this battle would be anticlimactic. That's
yeah,
what I kind of get the feeling that a majority of people, or at least half of people, would probably feel like this wasn't the best. Because I'll be honest with you, I still like the Battle of the Bastards better than this one.
yeah. I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Overall, though, I enjoyed the episode. The hour and 22 minutes went by pretty quick for me both times I watched the episode. I'm definitely going to try to watch it one more time with the colors and everything all played with and
Yeah.
whatnot. But we'll go from there. Any last words, Lynn?
Uh, they got to. I want to see how they're gonna stretch it out, but I'm looking forward to it. I see what the final 3 episodes are gonna come about,
All
and
right.
who
So,
plunges the knife into Cersei's neck if that happens.
yeah, let's chop off the head.
Just let it not be Arya.
I would like for it to be like somebody other than Arya because Arya got the Night King.
Yeah,
Even though Cersei's on Arya's list, I would like somebody.
but she's got her MVP moment. It's time to let
Yeah,
it be
exactly.
somebody else.
Yeah, let it be freaking Sansa or somebody.
Yeah. Oh, it'd be great if it was Sansa, because Sansa went through all her torture could start right from the beginning with
Yeah.
her being betrothed to her rotten son.
Yeah. And we're both. We have a couple more things to look for. We got the Hound, the Clegane Bowl.
If that's a thing.
If it's a thing. But yeah, there's gonna be some battles. I'm looking forward to it. I just want to find out what it is. But that wraps up everything for this episode. We didn't hit an hour, thankfully. We hit 57 minutes.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah,
But
100%.
anything you want to say before we say goodbye, Lynn?
No, I'm good.
All right. So thank you for joining us. Remember to click the like, share, subscribe buttons down below, you guys. Join us next week on Geek of Thrones as well for the 4th episode of the final season. And for Lynn and myself, I thank you for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Switch to
aka Geeks.